You stop sleeping. Forever, no naps, no blinking, productivity explodes. The workday extends to 24 hours, your boss is thrilled. You finish the quarterly reports in a weekend. Life becomes a seamless stream of conscious effort, but the biological clock is still ticking now. Day 3 arrives, the world begins to blur, reaction times drop. A simple walk to the kitchen feels like navigating a minefield. The brain tries to compensate, micro-sleeps occur. For a fraction of a second, the mind just shuts off. You are awake, but the consciousness is flickering. The lights are on, but the operator has left the building. Coffee no longer works. Caffeine molecules find no more receptors to bind to in the brain. Inside the skull, a plumbing disaster unfolds. The glymphatic system is the brain's waste disposal service. It only runs at full capacity during deep sleep. Without this nightly scrub, metabolic debris piles up. Beta-amyloid proteins clump together. They form toxic plaques. The brain effectively becomes a landfill for its own thoughts. Neural pathways clog. Synapses misfire. Thinking becomes like wading through waist-deep molasses. The prefrontal cortex begins to surrender. Logic evaporates. You start arguing with a toaster. You are convinced the toaster is a government spy. The toaster is actually just a toaster. But your brain cannot distinguish between a kitchen appliance and a geopolitical threat. This is the beginning of the end for your sanity and your social life. You decide to push through. Persistence is a virtue. At least you have more time for hobbies. You take up knitting. The knitting is terrible. You have accidentally knitted your arm into the sofa. This is a minor inconvenience compared to the unfolding biological collapse. Hallucinations arrive. They do not start as monsters, they start as shadows. A coat rack becomes a menacing stranger. The walls start to breathe, then the auditory glitches begin. You hear a distant telephone ringing in a room that does not exist. Your brain is now misfiring on a systemic level. The thalamus, the brain's relay station, is failing. It can no longer filter sensory input. Every sound is a scream, every light is a supernova. The internal map of reality is tearing at the seams. You try to read a book. The letters start to swim, they organize themselves into a secret code. You spend 4 hours deciphering a recipe for pancakes. You believe it is a map to a hidden city of gold. Your grip on the physical world is now a thin, fraying thread held together by pure, stubborn denial and a terrifying amount of sheer willpower. Biology finally revolts. The immune system is managed by the brain. Without sleep, the production of cytokines collapses. These are the proteins that fight infection. Your body becomes an open door for every passing microbe. A common cold now feels like a biological weapon attack. Body temperature spirals. The hypothalamus loses control of the thermostat. You are freezing and burning simultaneously. Your heart rate becomes erratic. Cortisol floods the bloodstream. This is the stress hormone. It stays high. Forever, the constant state of fight or flight shreds your internal organs. Muscles begin to atrophy. The body starts eating its own tissue to fuel the brain's desperate hunger for energy. Weight drops precipitously. Skin turns a sickly, translucent gray. The eyes become bloodshot craters. You look like a Victorian ghost that died of consumption and then forgot to leave the party. Your kidneys struggle to process the torrent of waste products. Every organ is screaming for a break. But you have decided that sleeping is for the weak. You are the strongest person in the graveyard. Now the final curtain begins to fall. The end is not a nap. It is a systemic crash. The brain can no longer maintain the illusion of a cohesive self. Your identity fragments. You are no longer one person. You are a collection of competing impulses. One impulse wants to eat a shoe. Another impulse wants to solve the Riemann hypothesis using only a piece of string. The string is actually your shoelace. You have eaten the shoe. The nervous system is now sending random electrical storms through your limbs. You dance the polka while standing perfectly still. Your heart beats in sync with the humming of the refrigerator. The boundary between you and the room vanishes. You believe you are the wallpaper. You start to describe the quality of the glue used in 1994. The immune system completely gives up. A single dust mote is perceived as an invading army of galactic proportions. Your body launches a full-scale inflammatory response. You swell up like a human balloon. The internal heat reaches critical levels. You are essentially a lukewarm, delusional meat sleeve. Every neuron is firing at once. It is a grand finale of biological noise, a symphony of total cellular failure. Nothing remains of the person who just wanted to be more productive at their job. Eventually, the brain simply stops, not because it is tired, but because it can no longer coordinate the act of existing. The signals to breathe stop. The heart forgets how to beat. You do not fall asleep. You simply cease to function. The biological machine has seized up. Your productivity has reached its ultimate peak. You are now perfectly efficient. You consume 0 calories. You perform 0 tasks. You are a static monument to the dangers of overworking. The experiment is officially over. There is no one left to congratulate. Your estate lawyer arrives. He is not sad. He is mostly concerned about your unpaid parking tickets. He files a claim for the knitted sofa. The insurance company denies the claim. They rule that knitting yourself into furniture is a pre-existing condition. This is unfortunate. Your brain needs sleep. Please go take a nap. If you enjoy scientific disasters, subscribe to the What If Club. Next time we find out what happens if you sneeze forever.